Welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben.
And I'm Hector.
And how are you doing, Hector?
I am surprisingly awake because we are recording this a lot earlier in the day than we usually do. And to your comment earlier, yes, I am awake today and not my usual, oh, bother.
Yeah, man. I'm starting to think maybe we should always do them at this time.
Let's not get crazy.
Yeah, it's cool, though. We're here at noon, bright and early, doing a bright and early for musicians. Anyway.
I was just going to say at the ass crack of noon.
Yeah. What did we do this weekend? I actually can't remember what we did this weekend. Let's have a look.
Did we play gigs? We did. We played O'Shea's on Friday.
Yeah.
Which was
that's right.
Which was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually really fun.
No, Friday.
O'Shea's and Patty Max.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We did O'Shea's Friday and Patty Max on Saturday. They were both fun gigs.
Yeah, actually.
They were both really fun gigs, yeah.
Totally. We played a ton of originals at both of them because we're getting ready for our tour.
We are getting ready for our tour.
Yeah, it's coming up. We're just going up the southeast coast, doing not really the coast, the southeast anyway.
The southeast, yeah, because we're going, I guess we're going as far as Knoxville.
Yeah.
And then working our way back down again. So, so we've got shows in Athens and Birmingham, Marietta, Atlanta, I don't even know, Knoxville. Well, Knoxville, we're doing a radio show.
Yeah.
Asheville.
That's it. And then on the way back, we're playing at the Fly's Tie.
Fly's Tie in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So Atlantic Beach, technically. So.
Right. It'll be fun because, the South there, we have a banjo in the band, so, it's like a no-brainer. Really.
Man, we did this last summer, and it was like, we were so well received everywhere. Everybody, it's just, it's
makes sense.
Like you said, we have a banjo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Deliverance.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff, man. Well, we have Ryan Vieira from Lot 49 with us today. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Glad to be in Florida, first time ever. So
nice.
Yeah, doing good.
I have to say, I feel like we've met before, but of course we haven't. We just did that one interview on.
Did a little short. What you guys called it something? I forget.
Passing through.
Yeah, passing through. That's right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because for those of you that don't know, Ryan's band Lot 49 is actually from California, but they are doing a double bill tour with Joey Calderaio. They already did their California leg, I believe. Yeah, they already did their California leg, and so now they're doing a Florida leg. So that's why we have Ryan on here. I know it breaks the norm a little bit of us not having a local musician, but they're local to us this week. So
yeah, exactly. And the fact that you've worked so much with Joey and Sierra, you're very tied into this area.
Your family now, man.
Yeah, no, it feels like it. And I love working with a lot of different artists. So to have two artists that are local to this area that I've done songs with is really awesome. So now that we're out here, it's like I'm meeting people that I've talked with online for years, and now we're meeting. Like I literally just met Sierra Lane this morning after we've worked together on a song and talked on Instagram and stuff. So met Joey for the first time last week in California. So cool to be here now and getting to meet everybody IRL.
Yeah,
nice,
great.
Nice.
I want to shout out to those guys. They're both been on the podcast a couple of times and big supporters of it, and always been really good to 561 Music.
Yep.
And I've worked with Sierra a bit musically and stuff like that. And back in the day, I even taught her music.
Nice.
I'm that old.
I love that. I love
Dating
that.
yourself.
Yeah.
Both really good musicians and both just really good humans. So yeah.
Absolutely. So why don't we get into our usual questions? The first one being, how did you find yourself getting into music and at an early age? Like, were your parents supportive? Have you been doing it since you were a child? Did you take lessons, stuff like that?
Yeah. So I got into music probably because my dad, I don't have a distinct memory of this is why I got into music, but he was a musician in the 80s. He had,
cool.
He was a keyboard player. He played in mostly just a local cover band in the Bay Area in California, and kind of quit doing that after a while. And then when I was born, there was not really a lot of talk of music, but I knew that he was in a band when he was younger.
Yeah.
And I think there was just that interest there already.
Yeah.
And then I think just we would listen to music. I was a big fan of, 90s alternative rock and stuff. Big fan of No Doubt and, all those bands from the 90s. So I think I just was I want to be like those guys. And I asked for a drum set on my 8th birthday or something like that.
Nice,
or it might have been Christmas or something like that. And my parents were, thankfully they let me have a drum set to bang on, and that's kind of where the love was born. Was I had an instrument and I would just try to learn as many songs as possible, but didn't really ever take lessons. I just kind of tried to experiment. With drumming, it's a little bit easier because you could kind of just bang on stuff.
Sure.
When I tried to learn guitar, it was like that was where the struggle really was, and then you stick with it, and eventually you learn it. But drumming was easy; I could just bang on stuff and was good to go there. So yeah,
as a musician parent, I can appreciate the when your kid comes to you and goes, "Dad, can you buy me a drum set?" Hell yes.
yeah. No, I mean a lot of parents would be like, no, and I was lucky that they allowed that, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't have to do the drum pads all the time. Like they would tell me sometimes, put the pad on the snare.
Sure.
But every once in a while they'd let me go loose, and
And this is probably before everyone had electronic drum kits.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, I did end up getting an electronic drum set at one point, and it was definitely helpful on their ears. But then after a while, I was like, I missed the feel of like real drums, so I switched back. But I had the electric rolling kit for a while. It was fun.
Yeah, I have one of those, and it is fun, isn't it? But it's nothing like playing a real drum.
It's different. It really is. Like you can get cool sounds I think if you were like in a hip hop band and you wanted to do like more like hip hop beats, it could be a cool alternative. But for like live music, like a live band setting, there's nothing like real drums.
Yeah, because I think the big part of that, and it's something that I think about a lot lately. My friends talk about it, and I read stuff online about it. It's really the things in music that are uncontrollable or slight mistakes, stuff like that. That's what makes music interesting. And as soon as you kind of dial it back to like, this is the perfect snare, this is the perfect hat,
right,
all of a sudden you're missing all of the extraneous stuff which creates the interest in the sound. And I think that's in a way what's going on with especially the earlier electronic drum kits, because the sounds are so precise and stuff. I think these days that they're getting a lot better,
Yeah, I haven't gone to Guitar Center and tried an electronic drum set in a while, but I remember just from when I had one, there was like only a few different levels of like loudness, or like the dynamics were just not there. So like you had your quiet snare, and then you had maybe your middle snare, and then your normal snare and a loud snare, but that was like kind of it, and like there was no of that gradient, Whereas a real snare, like there's so much gradient, it's endless. So
it's an instrument in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. So nothing like real drums, but definitely for someone who's like trying to get into drums and their parents maybe don't want to let them bang away on a real drum set, I think it's a great option.
Oh, absolutely.
The newer electronic drums though, they have the pads are like velocity pads.
They're much better.
They're much better.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't played with one in a while. I'm sure I'd be blown away by it, but
I have a friend, Ryan, who is an excellent drummer, and he uses an electronic drum kit with Superior Drummer 3, and that he gets really good sounds out of that.
Nice.
He does a great job. Like I don't think you would have to try really hard to tell it wasn't a real drum kit, because it comes with like the room, like a stem for the room and a stem for like all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I was first getting into producing my own music, I mean, maybe it was my lack of knowledge of what different plugins there were, but I just seem to remember doing drums was the hardest thing to make sound accurate.
Still is.
And but I mean, I'll see videos on TikTok or Instagram, and it's like a metal song, and it's like it sounds like such a big authentic kit, and then like they show the timeline, and it's like just like all MIDI controlled, and I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, but it probably takes a lot of time to either program that, or if you have the electronic kit, you could just probably drum it. But people program that stuff too, and it's that's a art in and of itself.
You know, I think even though it in the long run it probably doesn't really matter that much, and you could get the same sound in other ways, I really try and use original drums as much as I can. Like I'll layer in a kick, or I'll layer in like a snare or something, but just for that factor of it, that again, that like uncontrollable, this is how it is, so make it sound the best you can factor of it. I like that side of it.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because like that's one of the reasons why like the music, the Lot 49 sound is the way that it is because I didn't have access to record real drums.
Right.
So I was left with like, okay, I could try to program real sounding drums, but that was hard, especially as you're learning. I was like learning even just how to like make a song in Ableton or something. And so it was a lot easier to make a song that had more like of the hip hop R&B drum kit sound, and then play some reggae over it, because I was always a big reggae fan. But if I would have had access to like a music studio where I could set up and mic my own kit, the sound might be different, but the sound was kind of born out of like a lack of having drums and just like, all right, I'm going to do a hip hop beat because that's what kind of sounds good. As soon as you click the button, you don't need to tweak the velocity too much. It's all just kind of like the same velocity, just same kind of sound. So
yeah, man, I feel that. And when I was younger, I did a lot of music like that with the kind of hip hop beats and reggae, and I really feel it. And that kind of groove that you have is definitely something that I've been interested in since since I was like 20 years old. I've been making stuff like that for a long time, and I really like it.
Yeah.
No,
I love genre blending. So many great bands and artists do that and have made careers off of like blending 2 or 3 or 4 different genres together. So, when I started, I was like, I want to do something a little bit different than just like traditional reggae. Like, how can I kind of try to stand out? It was kind of born out of like a lack of equipment, and then just like, hey, like, let's try something that's like, a little bit more unique than just like, if you're like a rock and roll band and you're just going to do rock and roll, like that's dope and it's been done before and it's a tried and true formula. But sometimes it's cool to break out of that mold a little bit and try something a little different.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, it's another side of the coin of the thing that we were just talking about, which is that limitations are creative.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just sort of the opposite version of that, of the exact same thing.
Yeah, totally.
It's like if you have every option in the world, you're just a kid in a candy store who can't decide what to do. But as soon as some limitations are put on you, you're like, well, it's at least one side of it is gonna be this. And then you can move forward from there.
Yeah, you can't make every decision, so it's kind of nice when decisions are made for you. I call it decision paralysis. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but I'm like, if there's too many things to decide between, I'm like, I freeze. So it's nice to kind of be led in a certain direction,
I call that marriage.
Oh my word! It could be a 1980s comic.
I'm telling you.
All right. So, getting back to the musical sort of upbringing stuff. How did you learn how to play guitar? Did you get lessons?
No, I mean I'm fully self-taught. I took some drum lessons after I had already been drumming and was like, so I started out as a drummer, played in my first couple bands as a drummer, and that's all I knew how to do. And I took drum lessons for probably like a month, and I had already I think I had progressed past the point where when I was doing drum lessons and they were trying to teach me like the bare bones basics, it was so boring to me because I was like, I could do a beat already. I'm not like robotic. Like I know how to play on the drums. I just kind of wanted to elevate it, but I probably could have found a different teacher that maybe would have been able to pick up where I was and then take me from there. But I was young and I was just like, Dad, this is boring. I don't want to do this anymore. And he was probably like, well, there's less money that we're needing to spend. Like just go ahead and bang away on the kit. So did that for like probably like I don't know, probably 10 years, maybe 5. I got a drum kit when I was like maybe 8, 9.
Right.
And I maybe did it for like 5 to 7 years estimate. And that's when I kind of was like, I was in a band and I was getting older. Like I was like high school age and I, wanted to learn how to like play guitar, serenade the girls, all that stuff. And
that's why everyone learns it.
I would always just pick up my guitar players' guitars and like try to like pick around at it, and then eventually you learn some chords and you're like, oh look, I could play this one song. It's called what's that Oasis song? Wonderwall. I could play Wonderwall. Look at this, and it's like the same like finger holding almost the whole time, just like 2 changes. So that's kind of where it started, and then it's like once you dive into something, you're like, well, where can I go from here? Where can I go from here? Yeah. But I was really into reggae at the time, and I think what progressed my knowledge of guitar was I had to learn all the bar chords, and those usually are like some of the last chords you learn other than like 7ths and 9ths and all that. But like of the main chords, like doing bar chords for a lot of people is not easy.
Yeah.
But I had to do it because I was like, I want to learn this reggae song. Yeah. And you can't do like the reggae skank on an open chord. I mean, you can, but it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's why I learned bar chords too.
Yeah. Then from there, it like opened up my world to like kind of learning a little bit of the music theory, like a G goes to a G sharp, and then like you could kind of learn the neck of the guitar, and then it's like, oh whoa, like I now understand why the music that works the way that it does, and I could line up the notes on my the strings of my guitar to the piano. You just kind of like start to connect the dots, and you're like, whoa, this is like kind of crazy that it's all connected, and it makes sense why it all sounds good when played together.
I always say that those kind of musical epiphanies it always feels like, oh, it's just that.
Yeah.
Like you kind of expect it to be this this very complicated thing that you have to understand.
Yeah.
But actually, the truth is, you're almost getting in your own way, and once you see it, almost like how simple it is,
Right.
you go, oh,
Yeah.
it's just that.
Yeah, totally. And everybody's a little different too. Like I think it was Dave Grohl. He said like when he plays guitar, he doesn't really. I don't. I'm probably misquoting him here, but he said something along the lines of like he doesn't think of guitar in traditional fashions like notes and things like that, because he started as a drummer. He kind of thinks of like the strings as like cymbals and toms, and like that's how he like pictures the music in his head. And I just think it goes to show that you can learn music in very different ways. And what I picture in my head for when I'm like trying to learn a song or like trying to fit chords together might be a completely different picture than what someone else has, but the end goal, might be the same. So everybody, the path might be different, but the destination is kind of the same. So it doesn't really matter how you do it. So as long as it makes sense to you and it's gonna help you do what you need to do, then that's all that matters.
So yeah, I think the Dave Grohl thing, he was talking about Everlong, wasn't he? And if you listen to the like do da da do da da do da, it's just like a drum pattern.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think
it's
that's
really interesting.
Yeah.
When it comes to the sound of your band, like who were some of like influences other than reggae? Because I hear a lot of like that kind of 90s West Coast like R&B and hip hop in there as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like when I make music and I'm like trying to outside of like the reggae space, like I have a lot of modern influences. I have a lot of like, I feel like even though I grew up on bands like No Doubt and Everclear and Oasis and all those bands, like I love that kind of music, but I personally don't think that it shows through in what I'm doing.
Sure.
But people have said that it has like a kind of 90s R&B feel. And I dig that, but it's funny because like I don't ever think about it's accidental. I don't ever like think about that when I'm writing. It's always like
probably just soaked into you like by osmosis from being on the West Coast.
Honestly, probably some of the pop influences and current R&B influences that I'm trying to like kind of emulate in a way. Probably take influences from other eras, and so I think it just kind of like bleeds in together. But I mean like outside of reggae, I don't know, like some of my biggest influences right now, like sounds funny when I say it, but like I love Justin Bieber. It's like I love especially newer Justin Bieber. I just think it has a cool edge to it, and like when I think of like I want to make like a cool vibey pop sound, that's kind of where my mind gravitates towards. But man, I'll take influences from hip hop beats, like even just like modern hip hop songs, like artists like Logic or I mean, it's hard to actually even say outside of the reggae genre. Like I just feel like I'll just take a nugget from a song, even if I don't really listen to that artist as a whole. I'll just be like, this song sounds cool, has a cool like vibe to it. I kind of dissect it from there. Like, what are they doing, and maybe kind of steal a little idea from like structure that they had, or kind of get it where I can.
When it comes to reggae, are you listening? Would you say you predominantly listen to like kind of vintage, like 70s and 80s reggae, or would you predominantly listen to modern reggae?
I definitely listen to both, but I would give the stronger edge to more modern reggae. I mean, I found out about reggae outside of like Bob Marley and Sublime and stuff, but like really like American reggae, I got into that scene through hearing about Revolution. My bass player went to Santa Barbara around the same time. Those guys were, kind of post-graduating from Santa Barbara, and were kind of still like, they were getting bigger, like locally big, but they weren't like the huge festival headliner yet. And he told me about them. He was like, you should check out this song, Safe and Sound. It's a dope song. And I was like, whoa, this is like nothing I've ever heard before. Because they really do that blending of like, traditional reggae with like kind of more modern pop rock elements to it, and
it's very smooth. And
exactly. So that's
slick.
Yeah, it's kind of opened up my mind to that space. And then I went to go see them live for the first time in San Francisco, and Iration was opening for them. And this was like when Iration was, I think it might have been like one of their first like tours where they were going outside of, they were nationally touring at that point, but they were touring with Revolution as an opener. And I was like, these guys are sick too. And so from that night on, it was in San Francisco, saw them live. I was like, I need to go to as many reggae shows as possible. And like to this day have probably discovered 20, 30 like bands that I listen to on a regular basis that I saw just because they were the opener of a band I had already liked. So it's my favorite way to discover music. Honestly, like I know Spotify and TikTok and all that stuff is a big music discovery tool, but sometimes just going to a live show and getting there early for the opener, you're going to get blown
Hector
away.
will agree with you there.
100%.
He discovered a lot of bands that way.
100%. My wife and I go to like, I mean, we play at Killbillies plays out a lot, so I don't always have, weekends free or whatever, but we try to go to as many shows as we can. And we have the local amphitheater here, I think Financial, I think it's called now. It's changed like 20 names already, but they have during the summertime, the season here, concert season, they have the lawn passes, and it's like $200 for the whole season, and you get to go to every show.
Perfect.
So whether we like the artist or not, whether we're big on them or not, whether it's like one song that I know from them barely from the radio, we go. We go, and sometimes I surprise myself. Sometimes I'll get there and go, oh, I actually didn't realize I actually liked that artist. Like they have 4 or 5 songs that I knew that I didn't know were them.
Totally.
But the bigger takeaway is like you're saying, like we go and there'll be some completely unknown to me artist that might be big, might be not big, but unknown to me artist that'll open up for one of these bigger bands, and then I'm like, well, damn, they're good. And we've discovered so many bands that way. I love it.
It's so interesting, like, because I feel like in that same situation, if you were to take that same band's music and a friend were to be like, hey, check out this band, you may like it, you may dig it, but there's something about live music that hits your soul, and you're just like, I don't know. For me personally, maybe other people are different. For me personally, like, I like 5 times more likely to keep listening to a band that I saw live versus like if someone shows me a song, I might like that song, I might not, I might maybe listen to a couple other songs, but nothing beats live music. I'm going to see
because you're confronted by it. You get the whole aesthetic. You see the other people that like it. You see them and what they stand for and represent. I've always feel in a small venue too. I quite like going to big venues, but the feeling, the energy of a small venue is just totally different.
I know. I mean, when Joey and his band were staying with me in San Francisco, we just walked by this music venue. I was like, oh, yeah, we've played here before. And we peeked inside, and there was it was like a Monday night, and there was a live concert. And we're like, oh, should we check it out? It was like cheap. We walked in, didn't know who was playing, didn't know anything about the band. We just walked in, and the opener was just finishing their set. We caught like the last 2 or 3 songs, and I was like, these guys are awesome. I'm not even like, it was like indie rock kind of thing. And I don't consider myself like a huge indie rock fan, but dude, I was blown away. I was like, these guys are sick. Like, I looked them up afterwards. I followed them on Instagram, and like, all I had to hear was 2 songs of this band that I had no idea was playing, and just walked into the venue.
It's crazy. It's crazy how you and even comparing that to like you're saying, like listening to a song versus listening to it live, listening to like your friend. The thing, your friend says, hey, check out this band. You're listening to it, man. You might get a verse into it, and then you're having a conversation with them, or you're drinking your coffee, and whatever. You're not really listening, but when you're there, like you're just absorbing it.
It's really like I think it's like a sonic energy thing. Like the live music is so big, and it takes up so much of the room. Like sonically, you can't help but like you feel the bass in your chest, you feel the drums, and like I don't know. It's like this. I feel like this weird thing that happens subconsciously that makes you like fall in love with
Sure.
So live music's awesome, and that's why I'm such a proponent of like playing as many live shows as possible, getting in front of as many people as possible, because you never know who's going to be in the room.
That's exactly
even
right.
if one person likes your music and follows you on Spotify and listens to your music, like to me that's a win.
Yeah,
100%.
That's exactly right. You understand. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You just got to get out there. An old manager of mine used to say, nothing happens to you when you're sat at home. If you're on the road, no matter what happens, you're out there doing it. More than nothing will happen. You know
For
what
sure.
I mean?
I mean, even the shows that you're like, this is dead, there's no one. I mean, we all have those shows where like you have good expectations and like it just doesn't work out, whether you're playing in a different market that you haven't hit before. Like we've had shows before where it's like, it feels like there's 0 people in there. There's probably, in reality, there's probably like a handful, but like it feels like you're literally playing to the waiter or like the bartender. And then I'll check my phone after the gig, and it's like, oh whoa, someone followed us, and like they're from this area. I guess high likelihood they were at the venue and saw us, and so that it is cool. Even in the moments where you're like, this wasn't a great show, wasn't as great of a turnout as we wanted, you still can come out. Honestly, like that's a win to me. Like if I played 2 people and one of those people like
I mean, you won over 50% of the room.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So
and that's it. If you end up essentially playing a private concert to one or two people, if you do your job properly, those one or two people love your band forever. You know
exactly,
what I mean?
exactly. So I would rather do that, play a show to two people, than like try to bust my ass on social media 24/7 to try to fight through the noise, and it's so saturated on social media now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, sometimes like it just seems like it's more fun to play live shows. Like it seems to be like a better return, and that's why I'm like such a proponent of it.
Like the point of life is to enjoy the journey of it, and if you're a musician, you should be playing music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Totally.
really like the concept of success as being an end goal is a very limiting understanding of what success means.
Right.
You're successful if you're doing what you love. You know what I mean? So
sure.
so just getting out there and playing music is what a band should be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Either playing music or recording music is like, the two things that are the most fun to do as a musician.
Totally.
But nowadays we got to take on these other jobs that we may or may not love.
Play the game.
Yeah, for real.
Got to play the game. And I get it. Like it does make things, if you don't do it, I feel like you're fighting with one hand behind your back. So it's kind of like a necessary evil, but it's the way it is. 2023. It's just
No, you got to do it, man.
Yeah.
It's content. All this morning I was mixing a bunch of stuff for I was having to mix a live show, get it the best I could sounding, just for Instagram Reels.
Yeah, I've been there before. Do a whole video just for a reel that you're like, I'm spending a lot of time on this. And it's just one post, and that's why oh man, I'm like
I'll cut that up into a few, but exactly that. Yeah.
I feel like as a band that is kind of just like starting to try to make a name for ourselves in the scene. I personally see other bigger bands that are touring, and it's easy to get caught up in when they're on tour, they have these epic recap videos, and then it's you're like, well, I want to do that, and then you hit up a videographer, and it's a few $100, and you're like, we could do that, blah blah blah. Is it in the budget? And then at the end of the day, it's those big bands, they have way more budget than you have. So trying to play that game
it's impossible.
It's you're kind of just it's spending a lot of money when not as many eyes are on you yet. And so is it really worth the investment to do that when you're still kind of just getting started?
I know it's tough, and then you end up trying to do it all yourself, and you end up getting completely overloaded with stuff. It's really it can be really tough.
Yeah, totally.
Do you guys do all your own social media, or do you have somebody to do it for you?
Yeah, I do my. I run the band's social media, and so it ends up just being easier to do solo videos, just so I don't have to coordinate. Well, we'll try to do a video where we maybe do a cover song or something like that, but it's just so much easier for me to set up my phone on a little tripod and do a lip syncing video, especially when I'm trying to promote a new single. Those are the easiest to do. I don't have to coordinate with as many people, but we do it all ourselves.
Honestly, people like those too. For some reason, TikTok loves one person. You know what I mean?
That is true. Yeah, I've noticed that. It's I feel like when there's just one subject to focus on, especially new people that don't know you yet, if they're if a full band comes on, unless they're all playing separate instruments and it's within the context of this is a band, it might kind of, if it's just a group of guys just standing there and I don't know, I could picture, you might be who are these guys? Who's the singer? Who's the, there's no context to what these people are doing on your feed. So sometimes it's easier to just have a microphone, you're the singer, just sing to the camera, and people will get it. If they like the song, then bonus, and then they might follow you after that.
There's a local kid called Brayton Russell who does a great job of his TikTok. He's a musician, and he's really starting to do quite well. He's got all of his ducks in a row, and his social media is excellent, and he does a lot of those TikTok videos, and it's just his head and a microphone, and he spends a lot of time making sure he looks good in it and everything.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah, he gets tons and tons of views.
Hadid down south, he does a lot of that stuff. He goes to shows, and then he does a ton of TikTok and reels and stories and all that stuff. And same thing. They're just him. They're just him, and he's got thousands of views on every one of the things that he posts. It's crazy.
I wonder how that translates into people going to shows.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
difficult to know. He's getting ready to do his first out-of-state show, so maybe it translates well.
Yeah. when it comes to your social media, like, are you doing the TikTok stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at this weird age where I feel like I'm like not young enough to be like fully invested into the TikTok thing, because I was like a, MySpace kid, and then that transitioned into high school. It was like the new thing was Facebook,
I can
and
relate,
then
yeah.
Instagram was like, and so I feel like Instagram at the beginning of Lot 49 was like, that was where we grew the most, and so like now I feel like, oh, I don't want to start over on this new platform. It's hard, to get the visibility, and the algorithms are changing. But no, we have a TikTok, and I try to like do as much as I can there. But I feel like Instagram has always been my main focus. But I'm going to start using TikTok as like the, I feel like Instagram tends to be a little bit more curated, whereas TikTok is like, I see people post like 7 times a day. And, it's just kind of like, what is it, like throwing paint at the wall, like seeing what sticks, and like this is kind of how it is. And sometimes you just need to post like 5 bad videos, and then maybe one of the videos will kind of take off.
And you go on people's things. If you see a video that you like or whatever, you go on their thing, and there'll be like one video that has like 20 million views, and then there'll be like a couple that have like 69 or something like that.
I know.
Really weird.
Like all of a sudden, and sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, and that's the hard part. It's like, I've had videos where I was doing the same exact formula. I was doing a lip sync thing, and unfortunately, I've never gone viral. That would be nice, but like the videos that do, I've had videos that for some reason do like double the numbers that the last video did, and I was like, same song, same format. What is it about this video? Is like
just caught it at the right time.
Yeah. And so it's hard to.
All those algorithms and stuff are just crazy, stupid, and hard to understand. But like we have a social media person that does both 561 Music social media as well as our Killbilly social media. And I mean, case in point, I went to a 561 Music sanctioned show last night. A little original showcase thing that we put together for last night, and so I did a couple of live things. And when you do live on Instagram, it converts it to a reel and stuff, and so then it posts it as a reel.
Yeah.
What do I know about that stuff? So I did like 4, maybe 5 or something in a matter of like 2 hours.
Oh, gotcha.
And our social media person immediately, messaged me this morning. She's like, "Hey,
what the hell are you doing?
Hey, could you not post like 5 times in one night? It screws up our algorithm."
No, that's the thing. It's like,
but I don't know these things,
And it's such like a touchy thing. It's like they tell you like, oh, don't do this, or don't like. Apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently, like if you post something and let's say you have a typo, or like there's a error in the video, like don't delete it. That is bad for the algorithm for some reason. You're supposed to archive the post. For some reason, Instagram doesn't like when you delete the post. So it's like weird little things like that they don't tell you. It's like you're trying to play a game that you don't know the rules, and they punish you if you break the rules.
I wonder what the thinking behind they don't like you if you delete it is. Maybe because there's some kind of statistic that says people who delete videos are putting up stuff that shouldn't be up there.
I mean, that was my thought, was like maybe people that are delete videos are more likely to post a bunch of stuff that maybe people feel is like spammy or something, and then like it's just like it flags the whatever.
But it's content related too, though. I mean, you can't argue with the fact that if you post, like, hey, Lot 49 is playing and like Crazy Uncle Mike's tonight, come out, that you'll get 5 people liking the post. But then you post a picture of your dog and 10,000 people like it. It's just the way
Which is why you guys are smart putting a dog on the poster.
Yeah, both Joey and I have golden retrievers, so I think we'd be stupid not to use that as some sort of marketing opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. That ska band that I was talking to you about, that I'm kind of doing now, is called Nina's Yard Party, and Nina's the name of my dog.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. I know. I love that. Dogs are, they're good marketing tools. If you got to take care of them. They give you love back, but they're rent free and all that stuff. Right. It's like, at least I could use you for a little bit of marketing purposes.
Exactly.
So,
So tell us a little bit about your production techniques. What are you using and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I learned on Ableton, so that's like the DAW that I use, and my buddy who was a music producer, he kind of just did it from his apartment, and he just was like, yo, you play music, like you're a drummer, you're a guitar player, like why don't you just like record some stuff? And I was like, I don't know, like, it seems like a lot. I don't want to learn all that stuff. And he was like, I have a cracked version of Ableton. I'll just download it on your computer, like, and I'll teach you the basics. Come over, I'll teach you, like, I knew basic stuff. I knew like how to record an instrument, but it was like, figuring out how to like
automations,
automations and like shortcuts to like splice an audio clip, like little things like that. But he taught me the basics, and then I kind of just was like, all right, let me try to like record something and sing something. And I had a, just like an SM57 or 58 or whatever, and my Strat, and just kind of made a beat. And I tried to do like a couple covers at first because I knew I wanted to write. I was like, I do feel like I have a knack for writing, but I just don't know how to get it out there, and I don't have the money to go pay for studio time, and so what am I going to do? And so I tried to do a couple covers, and I was like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this, like maybe I could write my own song now. And I haven't listened back to the first recordings in a while. I'm sure I'd be mortified, but so my DAW of choice is Ableton, and I do all the recording and like the actual like arrangement and all that stuff myself, like lyric writing and everything. And I will have the band sometimes like come and like Carlos, the guitar player, like I can play guitar and I could doodle around a little bit, but I wouldn't consider myself a lead guitar player. I'm not a shredder.
Right.
Like I skank and maybe can do a few little runs, but I'm not a good guitar player by standards of guitar players. So I bring him in. I'm like, can you do this solo for me? I took a shot at it. It's just not. It sounds dinky and just like not popping. But I'll bring the guys in on some songs. But for the most part, I do it all myself, and then ship off the stems and get it mixed and mastered. I mixed and mastered our first album, which is called Deja Vu.
Right.
And I learned a lot, but it was something where I was like, the time that it takes me personally to make it sound how I want it to sound, like I was able to get it to a point where even still to this day, I'm like, it's not as good as our new stuff, but it has a good quality to it. It doesn't sound to me, it doesn't sound like amateur, but it took me so long to get each song that way that I was like, I'd rather just pay the money to have someone else do it and then have it sound like, a next level up. Because now I feel like I go to someone who's, in my opinion, I've worked with some mixing engineers, and I just can't find anybody that does as well as he does. So,
really?
So I'm like, I don't want anyone else to touch it. You touch it. I give him something, and he gives me something back that I'm like, I didn't even know you could make it better. Like I thought you were just going to kind of clean things up, but like he really does just bring the track to the next level and squeezes out every ounce of like stuff that he puts in some things that I'm like, or like little sound effects or like little layers within the song that just kind of like glue the track together. And I don't know, he takes some good liberties, which I love, because I'm like, I'm only one person, and he hears some stuff that he's like, what if there was an added harmony in here? What if there was, he'll give it back to me and be like, if you don't like it, I could take it out. But I'm like, no, please keep it in.
Excellent.
So he kind of goes a level beyond mixing. He kind of adds some production elements to it, which is
I
cool.
respect that, because these things take a village, and people who don't see that are missing out on an opportunity to make stuff better. I think that collaboration is really key with making music, and 9 times out of 10 makes it better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
So that I feel like was the turning point for like the sound of Lot 49, was finding a good, legitimate mixing and mastering engineer that just like that's his job. Like he is a full-time mixing and mastering engineer, and so now I can't go back, and I've tried to like go to other people just to kind of see like, oh well I meet someone new, like what do they do, and I just feel like sometimes I'll get the track back and I'm like, it sounds good, but I would, for the badge of honor of doing it myself, I would rather just do it myself, because I don't think it's like, levels above what I could do. It's kind of like on par with what I might be able to do. And even if it's a little bit better, I'd rather just take the badge of honor of like, I did the whole thing myself. But this guy just like blows my mixes out of the water. So I'm like, you take it from here,
man.
That's
the thing, man. You find somebody like that makes the tracks better, and can give you what you want every time, like just consistently. I mean, that's worth its weight in gold.
Totally.
I'm working on this song for. Have you ever heard of the Eurovision Song Contest?
I have not. No.
It is this thing, right? This European competition, which is just absurd. It's every country enters a song every year, and then everyone in every country votes on the songs to see who's going to win it. And the songs are almost always preposterous, like ridiculous. Every now and again you get a good one, And usually if there's one good one in there, it wins because most of
Right.
them aren't. And so a girl that I know, Ali, wanted to write one for Ireland. She's Irish, and I've got enough Irish where I could probably
Yeah.
go under the radar with it. So we wrote this Eurovision Song Contest song, and it has this kind of like, it's a bit dancey and a bit poppy, and I'm wondering whether I shouldn't give this guy a call and see if I can pay him some money to have a look at it.
Yeah, man. It's like I said, I just can't let anyone else touch my songs anymore. I've tried.
Yeah.
And it's just like I've never found anyone that's able to deliver like that good of a level that, you know,
That's
I don't
awesome.
know. That, and it might be personal taste too. Like maybe his sound works with my ears and I just
Right,
really like
yeah,
that
yeah.
sound. But man, anytime someone like is asking me about our songs and are like, "Oh, like do you do it yourself? Do you have someone?" I'm like, go to this guy. Like at least hit him up and like see like if it would work for your vibe. So, and he's very versatile. He does a lot of like, I think what works for me is like we have a lot of like hip hop R&B sound and he does really well with that. But he also has like a kind of like a grunge indie rock background too. So like he's produced songs that are completely different than mine. So I think he can probably run the gamut of genres, but I've only gone to him for my stuff. And so I just tell people he could probably do what you need to do. I've never used him for like, you know, straight up reggae, but like I'm sure he could do just as good of a job.
That's
so,
really
yeah.
interesting. I'm going to ask you who that guy is after.
Yeah. I'll send you his info.
Yeah,
his name's
wicked.
Justin. Shout out Justin.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Nice one. I think at this point, seeing as we've been talking so much about your music, we should have a listen to some of it. Does it sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Cool.
We looking back, going all out, acting like you're in the mood for a show. Tell me if you game or you got doubt, working overtime for the dough. I never wanna give it up. She take up an hour on her makeup, I ain't even tripping. Never been one to kill the cup. Been in here too long, got some making up, that's my decision. I've been stressed out, working so damn hard, the tears and the scars won't make up time now. Let's live it while we can, turn it up, got the band like. We looking back, going all out, acting like you're in the mood for a show. Tell me if you game or you got doubt, working overtime for the dough. We gon' spend it on something nice. Let's set it on fire tonight. I've been questioning my luck. My head is what I've been in. Turn this shit into a buck. I could see my vision in the distance. I got it off top. Wait until the next 49 shit drop. If you're in the city, come on down to our spot. We gon' have a party till they make us stop. We looking back, going all out, acting like you're in the mood for a show. Tell me if you game or you got doubt, working overtime for the dough. We gon' spend it on something nice. Let's set it on fire tonight. We looking back, all out, in the mood. Tell me if you game out, working overtime for the dough.
Hi, this is Ben from 561 Music. We are a local music podcast that is completely designed to promote and shed light on local music. And if you would like to be a part of that, we're looking for sponsors. So you could have your ads in the episode and in all the show notes, and we will read you bespoke ads, or you can write your own ads yourselves. If you want to find us, you can find us at 561 Music Podcast on the socials or www.561music.com. We'd love it if you got in touch. Thanks a lot. We are also sponsored by Oasis Root. Now, Oasis Root Kava Bar is in Sea Grape Square on Indiantown Rd. And it is a kava bar. If you don't know anything about kava, it's a Polynesian root that you grind up and you mix with water. And it has been in Polynesia for potentially thousands of years. It's an old thing that they used for kind of ceremonial and also sort of leisure purposes. It's meant to be something where, that brings people together. You all take a shell of Kava and chink them together and say bula and have it together like that. It's meant to be something to bring people together. It's has a kind of an effect, which is, I guess, a kind of a slightly warming effect. It just kind of makes you feel nice. It's not particularly intoxicating. It's not like drinking alcohol. So the atmosphere in a Kava bar is sort of like a cross between a regular bar and a coffee house. It's pretty chill in there. You get all sorts of different types of Kava bars. Some of them are more like a club, there's sort of like blacklight and EDM playing. And some of them are more like a cafe. This is one of the cafe type of ones. It's super chill in there. If you're looking for somewhere to, I don't know, maybe go and do some work on your laptop or go and have a chat with friends, it's perfect for that kind of thing. There's a foosball table in there if that's your jam, or baby-foot as they call it in France. And Jim, the owner, is a really cool guy, and he has very kindly sponsored our podcast. So thank you very, very much for that, Jim. They also do a poker night in there, all sorts of things going on at Oasis Route Kava Bar. 561 Music is sponsored by Live Music Community. It's where we film the podcast that you're listening to right now, and it's also where I work. Gavin, Hector's son, was a student here for a long time, and in many ways he's the musician he is today because of the teachers at Live Music Community. We taught him not only about his instrument, but also about being in a band, and his band, Unemployed Youth, accomplished a lot of goals, mostly band etiquette, how to work together, and all of the nitty-gritty that goes into being in a band on a day-to-day basis. The student signs up for lessons, learns their instrument, joins a real band, and decides the direction it goes in. And we can take people from very young age, 6 or 7 years old, all the way up to 80. There's no age limit here. We run an adult program for people who want to be in a band as adults, but really the main focus is on the kids and getting them playing together and in bands. We are also a studio, a live stream venue, and we can record audio or video. The Killbillies live album, Warts and All, was recorded here. It was recorded during a live stream that we did during COVID. Justin had a great idea to record live streams during COVID. A ton of bands came in, and it was a real success. But outside of that, we can record albums, we can help you with your EPK, and we have full audio-visual capabilities here. LMC is in Palm Beach Gardens on the northwest corner of Military Trail and North Lake Boulevard. It's north of the gas station, right before you get to North Lake on Military Trail. And if you go to livemusiccommunity.com, you have all the information you'll need right there. Thanks. Okay, that was great. And we just listened to some ads from LMC, which is where we're sitting right now, Live Music Community. And it is a school, and we teach people how to be better musicians. So I wondered if you had any advice for young or just starting out musicians.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I mean, I'm still learning a lot of stuff, so I don't know if I'm like the best person to give advice, but I feel like if I were to like tell my younger self something, or someone like my younger self that's just starting out, I would definitely say, especially this day and age, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to tailor your sound or your music to the algorithm, whether it be the TikTok algorithm or Spotify algorithm, and this like thirst for going viral. But I don't know. For myself, I feel like it's just always been, it feels more authentic to just be true to myself and not play too much into that game. We all got to play the game, but I think there's like this narrative going on of like, do I make songs that are more likely to go viral because they have this certain line, or, I think musicians now kind of make music to the algorithm, and that might be good for going viral and, blowing up, but I feel like authenticity is always going to be more, that's the long play, and I would rather do the long play versus like blow up and then no one knows who you are, a year later. So I think being authentic is like the best advice that I could have to anybody. Is just be yourself and don't play the game, and risk your music by playing the game.
Yeah,
no, I think that's great advice, and it harks back a little bit to what we were talking about earlier with, the definition of success in my eyes, at least, being the journey, and you don't want to be selling yourself short on a daily basis and doing something you don't even like, because
Right.
that's your journey then. you
Right.
know? Like,
Yeah, I've always thought it was interesting that people, everyone has their own journey, but I've heard musicians sometimes say that like the genre that they are currently playing and maybe they've gotten famous for isn't necessarily their favorite genre, or I've heard even some musicians say they don't even like the genre that they play. That just happened to be, what they were doing at the time. It caught on. Again, everyone has their own journey, but for me, like I could never, though I like other genres, I don't think I could ever see myself as like a, not a reggae artist, because I love reggae music so much that I'm like, I'd rather go down trying in reggae versus like, if someone were to tell me you could be famous and, if you just changed like to be this like bubblegum pop sound, I don't know if I'd feel like myself doing that. So.
Well, the good news is that reggae is experiencing some kind of renaissance at the moment anyway, so you probably don't have to.
For sure. Yeah, totally. So, yeah, I think I will always play the music that, at least at the time, is like my favorite genre. It's like not fun to, I'm not going to say not fun. It's always fun to play music, but, maybe it's a little bit more fun to play the style that you love and you would listen to on a daily basis. So,
It's funny, I'm at this point musically where, because I teach it all day, and then I play at night most nights. I don't know if I have a favorite genre anymore. I'm just kind of like all over the place with it, and not in a bad way. I definitely have things I listen to more than others, but now it's kind of. It all just sounds like music to me at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of over it in a way. I've just been doing it for so long and listened to so much music over these years that now it's just, I don't know. It's not that I don't hear the difference between it, but I don't know. I think I'm over like tribal element of it.
Yeah, and I think there's, as we, move our way into the future, I think lines continue to get more and more blurred, and who knows, maybe in 20 years, 30 years, like it will be really hard to even like categorize a band into a genre. Maybe not. Maybe there will always be rock and roll. Maybe there will always be hip hop, but I don't know. I feel like
what you mean.
Lines are getting more and more blended, and you'll hear a band. And my favorite game to play with my wife in the car is like, what genre is this? And because there's so many like agnostic genres that you're just like, what is this? Like, it has elements of this, but then it's also this. So I don't know. It's kind of fun, and that's why I identify with that with my band. It's like, yeah, we have elements of a lot of different things, but like. I don't know, when you say reggae or when you say pop or when you say R&B, it has these specific connotations. So when someone asks me what genre we are, it's like I can't give you like a one-word answer,
That's
it's
us.
like
it's a couple, it's like reggae. I guess it's like reggae R&B or reggae. I wouldn't put rock in there really.
Yeah, that's
it's
the
like
thing.
Reggae, pop, R&B.
Yeah, reggae, pop, R&B are like the three like key buzzwords that I usually use to describe to people. But I think as we continue on, I think not only us but other bands are gonna just continue to blend things, and that's what else can you do to be unique, unless you're gonna try to create your own genre. Which
I feel like you do one or two things. You either kind of go for something that's new and original, which is very difficult because there's so much music out there, or you kind of do just a spectacular job of being right on the nose of the genre. You know what I mean?
There's some bands that I can, I don't know. There's some bands like there's one rock band. I'm not a huge like into like modern rock music, but like if I remember their name, I'll let you know. But there's this specific band I'm thinking of, and they have like this kind of old school vibe to like their style and their clothing, and
Greta Van Fleet.
It's Greta Van Fleet, and like they do like the classic rock sound, like just on the nose. They're not really trying to like. If you were to listen to them, I feel like you could definitely mistake them for a different era.
Yeah, like Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin,
yeah. And so it is like
They're good though.
So there are bands that will do like the thing that's been done 1,000 times, and they just hit it right on the nose, and they're just killer musicians. So like it works, but it's also fun, to experiment around and try new things too. So
absolutely, man. Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about what the song you played was about?
Yeah, so Set It On Fire, that was essentially a song that I wrote during COVID, and it was kind of like this like get out of the house anthem, if you will. Like we were
Right
all
on.
trapped inside, and the song is kind of about like, getting out into this, like I'm from San Francisco, like going out into the city, like bar hopping, like kind of just letting loose, setting the town on fire, if you will.
Yeah.
And just kind of like,
been
having
one of
been
those.
cooped up and just like kind of wanting to throw a big party. And it's funny because the song happened and got produced and stuff. And then when we went to do the music video, it was kind of still COVID time and we didn't really know like what to do, but like I just was like, let's throw a party at the house and just hire a video crew and like come film it. We're playing
Great way
beer
of doing
pong in
it.
the backyard and, barbecuing. It was like this kind of summer, like I live by the beach, so it's like this summer beach barbecue kind of vibe. So it kind of was like a perfect representation of what the song was about too. It was just like throw a party, have people over, like come on over to the house. Like we'll have beers and we'll, drink and we'll skate down to the liquor store. It was just kind of that vibe of like getting out of the house and like,
Nice.
post-COVID anthem.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Yeah, I got a song called More Fire that I wrote with a band I was in called No Name Scar Band, and it's the same theme. And we did a very similar video too. We got everyone into like our warehouse practice space and have a big
Nice.
party and
Yeah,
filmed it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong filming a music video if you just have a big party.
Yeah.
Like that's it's not a bad idea for anybody looking for a music video concept. Just throw a big party. I'm sure there'll be
Yeah.
some good footage that comes
And
from that.
one of the good things about it is that everyone who was at the party is going to tell all their friends who were in a video. So they're all gonna,
Yeah, no, it does work as a cool marketing tool. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's like the video version of hiring a ska band, because if you hire a ska band to come play at your venue, there's 8,000 of them and they're all going to bring their friends.
yeah, totally. I think that's why ska concerts are always so fun, because there's so many members, and
Yeah.
every member is going to bring people, and they're packed. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if you have a
exactly.
two-piece band, and you it's like,
If every member of the ska band brought just their significant other, you'd pack the house.
yeah, exactly.
200 members in the band.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally, man. Those were the days. They were good days, actually.
yeah.
And maybe I'll have those days again. I'm doing this new project thing.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So, what have you got coming up? What's happening in the
Yeah.
world of Lot 49?
Yeah, so we're on tour now. As you mentioned, I already did the California side of things. It is the 27th today. So tonight we're playing at Crazy Uncle Mike's. And then, let me get the list here. Playing at Crazy Uncle Mike's tonight. And then tomorrow we're at West End Trading Company in Sanford. We're just going 5 days straight. So the day after that, Grand Central Brew House in St. Petersburg. Saturday is Terra Firmata in Stewart. And then Sunday we wrap things up at Crown Plaza in Melbourne.
Nice.
So, that's kind of like, we're hitting the road. This is our first tour. So in California, that was like our first time not doing just like a little weekend. Like we've done shows where we're like back to back, and but we all just kind of take our own cars. It's local enough. We could meet up at the venue, play the show, go home, sleep in our own beds, and then maybe meet up the next night.
Yeah.
So this is like kind of the first time we're doing like a travel thing. We did do Dry Diggings last year in California, a little reggae music festival where we got a little Airbnb. But this is kind of like our first true test of like being out on the road, making sure we get along with each other.
And that is the test. It's not like how well did the
That is
tour go.
the test.
It's can you spend time with each other?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been in bands before where it's like you're like thinking forward. You're like, if we go on tour, do I want to share a room with this person? I don't know.
Yeah.
So no, it's cool to have a group of guys that I get along with. We joke around. We're all funny and silly with each other, and we got I think we got a good vibe going. So yeah. So to answer your question, tour, got some new music in the pipeline, and I think it's kind of going to be a winter of like new music coming out for
Excellent.
us. Yeah, and then back to probably writing early next year. Hopefully do another project maybe next summer. Could be a good time. So yeah, TBD.
wicked.
I kind of fly by the seat of my pants like
it's all
with
good.
releases. I'm just like, who knows?
and
you
I bet
just-
when you get home, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, you just released something, didn't you?
Yeah. So with a awesome Florida artist, Sierra Lane, as we mentioned, did a song called Malibu, and just it's honestly to date it's probably my favorite song that the band has released, and
Nice.
cool vibes. It got that total like crossover of like modern pop, hip hop, R&B, 808 kind of, heavy bass mixed over with like the reggae undertones and everything like that. So, shout out Sierra. for doing a verse on that. And yeah, she'll be at the show tonight. She's opening the show tonight at Crazy Uncle Mike's. So then she'll pop up on stage with us to perform. You know, hopefully it feels like we live so far away that this is like our one chance to perform with her.
Sure.
But I'm sure, you know, our paths will cross again. But I've been looking forward to this show in particular for a long time, just because we had the show in the works, and like I said, I've known her online for a few years now, so to now get to play a show with her, like I'm just a big Sierra Lane fan, just like in
she's
general.
a consummate
Her music
professional
is awesome.
too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is she going to play any of the other Florida shows with you guys? Or no?
Unfortunately, we can only get her for this one.
Okay.
She's a busy lady, you know.
Yes,
so
yes, she is. Yes, she is.
yeah, we can only get her for this one. So blessed to have that. But yeah, hopefully, either maybe she comes out to California and we can maybe do a few shows there. Or hopefully we'll be back. I'm sure we will be back to Florida at some point. So yeah. It's,
nice one.
Yeah.
There's something within that I think is, you know, if anyone's listening and they hadn't thought about it, it's a good idea and a great way to tour is make friends with a band across the country.
Mm-hmm.
You go there, use their backline, and then you switch your back round and they use your backline. And that is an absolutely great way to do it, because you don't have to tour your way across the country in a van, just completely exhaust yourself. You can just go to you just hit two good areas, you know, and then everyone's got nice gear to play on, and you don't have to keep changing the gear around or rent gear or anything, you know.
I'm so glad we didn't have to rent any gear. That sounds like it would be a nightmare. But yeah, no, I think especially California and Florida, like two good reggae hubs, I think make for like a perfect combination for the tour to come together. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Actually, thinking about it, it wouldn't do us any harm to find a band in the UK.
A reggae band?
To find a band in the UK that has that plays the stand-up. And, you know, some kind of rockabilly band of some kind.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of just switch out like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'd never thought about that until right now. But
we're doing a UK tour in October of next year. But
nice.
You know,
flying the stand-up over is just
stand-up
it's
over
not
is
going to
not
happen.
be.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds like
I got to put wings and a motor on it and fly the actual stand-up.
There you go.
So you guys actually, speaking of flying, you guys flew in like right before this interview, basically.
Yeah, so we did get in late last night, so we got some sleep, and then I met up with Sierra this morning. Actually, we're doing a little music video for the song, and then popped over here. So
are you guys? Did you guys plan for any extra time around here? Or are you gonna have to scoot right out again?
I'm sure we'll probably have a few hours of downtime in between each show.
Sure.
But from what I remember, each drive is like at least a couple hours, like at a minimum like 1.5, 2, maximum of like 4, I think.
Yeah.
So depending on load-in times for each venue, we might need to either rush out or we might have a few hours.
You
to
flying
hang
right
out.
back out the day after the last show?
Yeah, we're flying out on Monday. I wish we, would have planned it in a way that we could stay for a couple extra days, but honestly, it was like so hard to find. Like, you have a budget and you're like, okay, if we go over this budget, we're going to be in the red, and you don't want to do that, start paying out of pocket. So I was just like, I would love to stay in Florida. Joey's band stayed in California for a couple of days, but I just think like financially it was like that was going to start to be, raise the cost of the tour. But yeah, from what I've seen so far, Florida is awesome, and I would come back here just to, hang out on vacation.
Yeah,
so
there's no doubt you guys will be back.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you get home from this tour, you're going to be, your feet will start getting itchy in no time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because you really feel it when you're on the road. You feel like you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're in the trenches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The first day of a tour, I always feel so light. Just like, here we go. It's great. It's such a nice feeling.
For me, I feel like at least in California, I was like, so probably because it's the first time and you like don't know what to expect, how exhausting is it going to be, all that stuff. I was very like, I was a little anxious to get it started because I was like, we have 5 shows in a row. We've never played 5 straight days. Like, is my voice going to be okay? All this stuff. So I feel like I hit the stride like kind of in the middle tail end where I was like, oh, now it feels like, I have a lot more energy than I thought I was going to have. And, you're kind of like, oh, I'm sad it's coming to an end on, in 2 days or, whatever. So, but this time I was definitely more energized at the beginning.
I know what you mean about having a bit of anxiety around it, though, because, but mine starts like way before. Like I'm anxious about the tour now. By the time we get to it, I'll have all my ducks in a row. I'll be all right.
Oh, interesting. See, I'm like so like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. It'll be chill. It'll be all good. And then when it's like the day before, I'm like running through all the planning in my head. I'm like, okay, we got to get there at this time. And like, especially flying here, we like checked all our gear and like we have like a decent amount of gear that's like, I'm like,
Is it gonna make it?
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
gonna even? I mean, I've had my luggage just like straight up, like it doesn't arrive to the place.
Dude, it happened to our friend Rocky just a couple of weeks ago. He flew back from England. They were on tour in England, and his like head rush thing,
yeah.
a couple of $1,000 worth of amazing pedal,
Yeah.
and his bass, but just gone.
Oh God, that would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
a nightmare. So that was my first concern. Was like, please just let the gear be there. Which that was
Yeah.
number one. And then I guess tonight will be really the true test for sound check. Like, when I plug it in, does it still turn on?
Yeah.
I guess anything can happen. But it looked fine. Although I did bubble wrap it, like one of my big like rack cases,
Right.
and then the bubble wrap was mysteriously missing, and I was like, is that because it got just like shredded off, or
They
did
were
they
looking
take
for
it off?
drugs.
They
and stuff,
take it
isn't it?
off and look for stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but flying with all the gear was fine. But yeah, there was definitely like a little bit of anxiety the morning before of like, shoot, like we're bringing a lot of expensive gear, and I hope that it survives. And and if it doesn't survive, like how are we gonna adjust? And because we run like click track and backing track with our stuff, and so we're so used to playing it like that. So, but yeah. It'll be fine either way. I think we'll roll with the punches, even if the
I
gear.
think Joey will have your backs, man.
Yeah.
They have a lot of good gear
Yeah,
and stuff, so
for
you
sure.
should be fine.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. Yeah. We can be on tour with a better band in terms of that.
Yeah,
and
they've been awesome.
Joey's connected to the whole music scene here. So if something did happen, and
He
you needed
practically
something-
works at Jupiter Music.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just
he's
has
there
to
all the
put the
time.
word.
Yeah,
he just has
I think
to put
some
the
of the
word
band
out.
members said they work at a music store
Yeah, they
too.
do,
So
yeah.
if anything goes wrong, I guess I'll.
They'll put the word out, and somebody will come to your
I love
rescue. I
it.
promise
I love
you that.
it. Awesome.
That's one thing about, and I'm sure California's the same way. But there's one thing about our music scene here is you get to realize real quick that it's a family, man. Everybody's got everybody's back. Like,
For sure.
Very
Yeah,
rarely
yeah.
I mean, you get your occasional, dick, but
There's always the bad apple.
like
Yeah.
Ben. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But everybody's got everybody's back all the time.
yeah,
man. It's
totally,
awesome around here.
totally.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
And shout out Jupiter Music. If you guys are watching this, then big up. In terms of us, this weekend we have got
Nothing.
Just me me and James have got some stuff. So 3 to 6 on Saturday.
Oh, that's right, you have
James and I are playing at the Square
Square
Grouper.
Grouper, yep.
And then on Sunday from 4 to 7, I'm playing at Guanabanas. Or Guanabanas.
Guanabanas.
It's a strangely light weekend for Kilbilly's gigs. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, and since I'm not playing this weekend, then I'm either going to go to Disney World or I'm going to make a rare appearance at your Guanabanas gig and play a song.
I really hope you do, dude. I really hope you do. In fact,
But now that I've said it and everybody's heard it, now it has to happen, right?
yeah,
go back
I'll
and
come
work.
around your house on Saturday night. I can show you how to use my stuff if you want. We can do it properly. But anyways, I guess that's our end of things. And just to reiterate, we are going on tour, and the tour starts on the 11th.
On the 11th in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, we're playing at the Rabbit Hole. Mm-hmm. And then on the 12th, we're playing
Birmingham.
in Birmingham at the place called The Nick. Mm-hmm. And then on the 13th, we're at the Third Door in Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And then
The 14th, we are at Chalktoberfest.
That's right.
In Marietta, Georgia as well.
Yeah, and that's we're playing it, and we're also helping you paint
Helping me chalk and paint a drawing, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And then I think the next gig, when are we doing Knoxville?
Tuesday is Knoxville. We're on WDVX
Yeah,
Blue Plate
WD
Special. WDVX, I think it's Blue Plate Special Radio Show.
Yeah. And then I think it's Thursday, isn't it? Then the next
Yeah.
one's the Burger Bar in North Carolina on
Asheville.
the 9th. In Asheville, North Carolina on the 19th. And then on the 20th, we got Fade Nectar
Yep.
in, where's that?
Lakeview, North Carolina.
Okay.
Lakeview, North Carolina. And
Gotcha.
then from there, Saturday the 21st, we're going to Flash Tie in Atlantic Beach / Jacksonville. whatever you
Yeah,
wanna
and
call it.
we've played the Fly's Tie before, and it's really cool. It's like
really
it's
fun.
one of those just awesome dive bars. It's just great to watch a gig at.
Yeah.
Like so, if anyone's up that way and has heard of our band, you should definitely come and see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Well, listen, man. Thanks so much for coming on. Is there anything else
for
you want to
having
get
me.
out there before we?
I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors that made the tour possible.
Absolutely.
Out of San Diego, both Muffin But Good Vibes, Craig, veteran-owned business and started making some muffins, and they're bomb muffins, by the way.
That's what that is, because I keep seeing some Joey.
Yeah. But then Joey made the theme song for the. So I Craig will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was started as just like him making muffins, and then it transitioned now into like a full-on. It's kind of like the West Coast Sugar Shack. It's like they do an acoustic sessions thing. We made an appearance on it last year, and Joey just did his session when we were over in California. Had a lot of great artists on it already. I mean, like Cat Hall from San Diego. Oh man, I feel like there's so many. The Resonators were the first one. There's a lot of the West Coast guys, just because it's easier to get over there. I think there's been a few East Coasters that have made the journey over there. But yeah, shout out Muffin but Good Vibes, and then Babe Kombucha is the other sponsor for the tour. They just like we wouldn't have been able to do it without them. So just want to give them a quick little shout out.
Excellent.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and so that's the tour, and then as ever, we're looking to fund our podcasting a little bit better. So if there's anyone out there who wants to help us with that, sponsors or anything like that, I would like to say though, by the same token, that we talk about that kind of stuff a lot, but we're not going anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're not going to stop doing this. So, despite the fact that we're always banging on about sponsors, it doesn't mean we're going to stop doing the podcast. So, don't worry about that. We'll be around for a long time to come. Yeah. Got anything else, Hector?
No. 561music.com for all of your 561 Music podcast needs. You can sponsor there. You can. There's merchandise from the past festivals that you can purchase on there. All the episodes are on there. You can go back through the archive, and there's well over 100 episodes. We've been doing this for 2.5 years strong. Like Ben says, we're not going anywhere, so we'll be doing this for at least another 2.5 years strong. If not longer. We're starting to vet out all the details for the 561 Music Festival, which will be in April again this coming year. So that'll be our third one. And all the socials is 561 at 561 Music FL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
nice
man.
one.
All right, man.
Well, see you later. Nice to hang out with you,
Thank you
dude.
for having
Very
me
nice
on.
meeting you.
You're a
Appreciate
charming
it.
fella.
Thank you
and,
very much.
Yeah. See you
Good
later.
luck with the tour, man.
Appreciate it.